Welcome. If you love constantly seeing big crates on the screen, you are in the right place. This Frost DK guide will show you how to do just that and share some more tips on playing this bad boy. Enjoy. Alright guys, so let's start with the talents. First, Chains of Ice by default, Death Strike, important spell of course for our healing, Mind Freeze for interrupting, Anti-Magic Shell for those spell immunities and stuff like that. So this is also pretty good because it can actually interrupt every CC spell that is counted a spell, just to basically be immune to it. So it's very nice, you know, to stay offensive and to absorb some incoming damage. Blinding Sleet, a very nice CC ability. I thought that at first it's gonna break from, you know, first hit, but it actually can stand quite a lot of damage, so it can be very helpful, especially when being outnumbered, you know, and just to see the rest of the enemies. Permafrost is nice actually, that because we are going for crit in this build, it will actually increase our survivability by quite a bit, while critting those normal attacks is going to absorb even more, so nice to have. Improved Death Strike, it's pretty self-explanatory. More healing for us. March of Darkness is actually a very cool spell to improve our mobility because the Death Advance grants additional 25% movement speed over the first 3 seconds. This gives us like the small sprint. It's very nice for closing the gaps against enemies. Next we go for Icebound Fortitude, which is pretty self-explanatory. Our CC immunity for stuns and damage reduction. This can also decrease the cooldown by 60%, 60 seconds, so it will be like a 2-minute cooldown. Veteran on the Third War, stamina increase by 20%. This basically talent gives us the most HP of the game, like we're in the same line with Warlocks. We can, with buffs like the from food and stamina from priest, we are basically in honor gear get around 450k HP, so it's pretty nice. Suppression is only just to take another row of talents. Might of Thessarian increases strength by 2%. Anti-Magic Zone, another spell immunity, not immunity but spell absorption. This can actually absorb in PvP around 200k, so, and it's basically AoE for every ally in it, so very nice. And it's also decreasing the spell damage taken by 20%. Merciless Strikes, we go for crit, so crit is always welcome, and Acclamation to reduce the Icebound Fortitude cooldown as well. Gloom Ward is just for a prerequisite for the runic attenuation, but it's also nice because the absorption are basically more effective on us, so you know, priest bubbles, stuff like that, our self bubble, permafrost and anti-magic shell are also considered absorbed, so it will increase them. Asphyxiate, self-explanatory, 5-second range stun. Death Pact is like our oh shit button, although you have to be careful. You want to use it in the very last time, because then for the next 15 seconds you basically can't heal yourself with anything like Death Strike or anything at all, unless you have healer in your team and it's gonna just have time to absorb all of the leftover from Death Pact. Then it's you know, you can use it earlier. But usually I want to leave it like a last resort when I don't have time to actually get rid of that absorption. Next, Unholy Endurance. This is nice because loot duration is increased by 2%, and on top of that it also reduces the damage by 15% that we take, so nice to have. Unholy Ground, nothing amazing, but it's prerequisite for the Death Echo. This is amazing because we have Death Advance, Death and Decay and Death Grip have one additional charge. This basically means that we have more mobility, and mobility is one of our weaknesses, so this talent basically solves it. It's very hard to get away from us thanks to this. And having that 5% haste, if you can cast it beforehand, before bursting or anything like that, 5% haste is very nice to have for 10 seconds. Wrath Walk, this is our another mobility spell, which is great. It's 1 minute cooldown, although it basically frees us from all the roots and stuff like that, so, and all impairing movement effects, so we can be slowed or anything like that in that. So for 4 seconds we're sprinting for 70%, which is very nice. I always tend to keep it as a root breaker, so keep that in mind. Usually to gap close I used Death Advance. Next tab, Runic Continuation. Auto attacks have a chance to generate runic power. Nice to have. Insidious Chill. Auto attacks reduce the target's auto attack speed by 5%. It can stack to 4 times, so 20% is pretty nice. And Icy Talons, very nice. Runic power spending abilities increase your melee attack speed by 6% for 10 seconds, and it can stack to 3 times. So basically, we increase our attack speed by 18%. Which is pretty important because our auto attacks generate the killing machines procs, so more attack speed is always welcome. Here, Will of Necropolis, its damage taken below 50% health is reduced by 35. It's actually 17% in PvP. This was reduced due to the nerfs, and yeah, our healing is no longer that amazing from Death Strike and the Will of Necropolis absorption, but it's still okay, nothing amazing. But yeah, we do tend to have some problems against melee because yeah, our healing is not there anymore, and we can have some problems. A Rune Mastery, consuming a rune has a chance to increase your strength by 6%, and Abomination's Limb is one of our offensive cooldowns, which is very nice. It grips your enemies and deals some shadow damage during that. So that's basically it, guys. Usually most people go for Empower Rune Weapon and some other stuff in here, but then you would have to sacrifice Death's Echo and Unholy Endurance. And I like the Lichborn because it not only gives us fear immunity, but also reduces the damage by 50% and also gives us 10% leech. So it's nice. Like defensive cooldown while you can stay offensive. So it also heals us. It basically gives immunity to fear and also reduces damage taken. So this is like one of the most the first of the cooldowns I use usually during fights. So nice to have. And of course, that's Echo. I think that Empower Rune Weapon is nice offensive cooldown, but I think that we lack on like more on survivability and mobility, so I think this one is more important actually. Right, then let's go to the Frost. We get, of course, Frost Strike, Obliterate and Howling Blast, 3 of our most important spells. Then we go for Killing Machine, which basically our auto attack critical strikes have a chance to make your next Obliterate deal frost damage and critically strike. So this makes our Obliterates hit so hard basically. Rime Obliterate has 45 chance to cause your next Howling Blast to consume no runes and deal 300 additional damage. This can be further improved by next talents, but first we take Remorseless Winter. It's 45-second cooldown. It's usually 20, but I take the Dead of Winter PvP talent, but we're going to get into that later. So your Remorseless Winter is an AoE attack that lasts for 8 seconds and basically will deal damage continuously to enemies. Nothing amazing in here, but can be very useful for slowing people down, and with the PvP talent it's getting better. Improved Frost Strike, just damage increase. Unleashed Frenzy, damaging ability enemy with a running power ability increases your strength by 2% for 6 seconds and it stacks to 3 times, so we're spending runes basically all the time. We're spending the running power all the time, so this works nicely with the attack speed buff as well. Improved Obliterate, increased damage by 10%. In here we take Frigid Executioner. Obliterate deals 50% increased damage and has 50% chance to refund 2 runes. Nice passive thing. And in here, Frost Reaper, this is important. Killing Machine also causes your next Obliterate to deal frost damage. This basically turns our Obliterates, Killing Machines, to be those hard hitters. In here we take Improved Rime, so Howling Blast damage done by an additional 75%. This is quite important because Howling Blast is also one of our heavy hitters with the modifiers that we're going to take. Frostwhelp aids, basically Pillar of Frost summons a Frostwhelp that deals damage, just some small amount, but the important thing is that all the basically the damage it deals, if it deals damage in AoE situation, every enemy can give us 8% mastery for 15 seconds, and it can give us up to 40% mastery. So if you hit like 5 targets, then it's gonna go for maximum 40%, and in AoE situation this is so important to hit as many targets as possible, then your damage can basically go over the roof with this. But even on a single target, 8% mastery during the bursting is pretty nice. Also, during strength, we only have 1 point in here, but it's also very nice. When a Pillar of Frost expires, your strength is increased by 10% for 6 seconds. This effect lasts 2 seconds longer for each Obliterate and Frost Sky critical strike during Pillar of Frost. Usually, if we can stay on the target, we'll hit at least 4 or 5, so it goes up like 15 seconds, 14 seconds, so it's still pretty nice to keep those 10% strength even after the burst. So very nice talent. Next up we take Murderous Efficiency, so consuming Killing Machine effect has a 50% chance to grant you 1 rune. Inexorable Assault, basically our obliterates deal more damage every 8 seconds and stacks up to 5 times, so before fights it's usually nice additional damage for obliterates. Ice Cap, your Frost Strike and Obliterate critical strike reduces the remaining cooldown of Pillar of Frost by 2 seconds, so nice talents because we will be basically speccing into crit. This can actually reduce our offensive cooldown by quite a lot. An Empowering Weapon basically gives us haste, generates rune, and also instantly gives us some of the runes as well. Then we go for the Icebreaker. When empowered by Rime, Howling Blast deals another 60% increased damage to your primary target. So the bursting damage the bursting target we go for is taking more damage from Howling Blast, and this makes our Howling Blast hit so hard. So that's why I like it. We will have those Rime procs so often. And Avalanche casting Howling Blast with Rime activates active causes jagged icicles to fall on enemies nearby a target, applying Razor Eyes and dealing 2000 damage. Basically the damage is not really that significant, but also the Razor Eyes debuff is amazing because it can increase when stacked at maximum. It can increase our frost damage by 15%, so this is quite significant for all the damage we deal, especially those big obliterates. So nice to have. Then on the left side we take, of course, Might of the Frozen Weights, because this is a two-handed specialization. Very nice. What it does is increase obliterate damage by 30%, and also auto attack critical strikes always grant Killing Machine, so that's why the crit chance is so important for us. Bone Grinder increases our crit chance every time we consume Killing Machine, and then on 5 stacks it actually gives us some frost damage by increase our frost damage by 20%. So during that Pillar of Frost bursting phase, it can stack out very nicely. Cold Blood Rage, Frost Strike has 20% chance on critical strike to grant Killing Machine. Honestly, I would just get rid of this talent. It's nothing really fancy, and because we have like 25% chance to crit with this build, and those crits have another 20% chance to add to the Frost Strike, so you know, it actually gets to like 2 or 3% that you get it, so it's just waste of 2 points. Honestly, I'll put them somewhere else really, but this talent is so bad. I just hope that they change it in the future. I don't know why it's here even, but yeah, it's a prerequisite for Obliteration, which is our bread and butter. So basically, Pillar of Frost is active, Frost Strike and Howling Blast always grant Killing Machine and have 30% chance to generate a rune. So this allows us to have those big crits back to back, and this is our most important thing. Just one note in here, because most of the people were gonna take Frostworm's Fury and Absolute Zero, and I would totally agree with it if the damage of Frostworm's Fury wouldn't be reduced by 50% in PvP. So basically, in PvE scenario, it's gonna deal like 30,000 almost. With all the modifiers, we probably could hit for like 40k, wild crit, 80k AoE with freeze on top of that. Always take it, yeah, but unfortunately it is reduced in PvP, so the damage is pretty, yeah, nothing really that fancy. And you know, 3-second freeze is nice, but honestly we do have quite a lot of CC already, so I just feel that we don't really need that freeze and prefer to go into more damage just to have those big obliterates. So that's how I built the Frost Death Knight. Now let's get into the gear. Alright guys, when it comes down to gear, as I mentioned before, we basically focus on crit and haste basically. Mastery is very nice, but we do have some very nice mastery from the Frostwhelp talents, so I don't really bother with that much. So in PvP we have 23%, this is all honor gear, so we have 23% crit chance, 9% haste and 6% mastery. So mastery is nice, but honestly, if we can have more mastery while bursting, it's very nice from talents. And then I just feel that having those obliterate crits, you know, on sustained damage is very nice, because otherwise when go full haste, it's nice that we can have attacks so quickly, but then if you don't go into crit, you have no crits whatsoever from obliterates except for like bursting phase. So people can say that PvP is all about bursting, but yeah, you can be CC'd, people can totally mess up your burst. So that's probably why Frost is considered so weak in PvP at the moment. But you know, we do have some tools to actually overcome it, so don't worry about it that much. But yeah, basically my my approach is to go for the crit. 25% is something that we can be comfortable with. You know, when we get more gear, we can focus on the more secondary stats, especially the haste at current gear level you will not see that significant change, honestly. It will feel a little bit more smooth to play, but will not change things that much. So I just feel that crit is more important. As you can see, I'm just attacking regularly and constantly having those killing machines. So those 73% crit is very, very important to have, especially when we start getting those frost strikes as well. We can increase our attack speed and strength, so it's getting crazy. We do have a lot of modifiers on ourselves to increase the damage, so that's why probably those obliterates, crits change so much. You know, regular crit without any buffs, 38k seems pretty okay. Right, so yeah, like I said, we do get all crit on gear, and then we focus the rest on haste. So you know, 10% feels pretty nice, honestly, for me. So that's it. Now let's go into the preview. Alright guys, our rotation is pretty easy actually, nothing fancy. We usually should stick to our priority system without any cooldowns or any procs. Usually you just want to use obliterate and then spend it for Frost Strike. The running power gets spent for Frost Strike to keep those buffs, your attack speed and strength from it, and just use Rhyme procs whenever you have. Otherwise, of course, the most important thing is Killing Machine obliterate, then Rhyme proc, and then Frost Strike. When we don't have any procs, you just want to keep obliterating people and using those Frost Strike now and again, you know, just to keep your buffs on. But always don't spend all your runes, because when your Killing Machine pops, you want to have that obliterate on, you know, just to not waste another proc, for example, because you can have like 2 auto attacks back to back, so it's nice to use those procs immediately, honestly. But just one thing more to cover, because I think I forgot to mention the PvP talents. Yeah, the Dead of Winter is actually, after your Remorseless Winter deals damage 5 times to a target, they are stunned for 4 seconds. We do have Asphyxiate for stunning, but you know, it's 45 second cooldown, and on top of that, this is AoE, so Remorseless Winter doesn't deal that much single target damage, but if we can have more utility from it thanks to this talent, then why not? Then Strangulate is like a must-have for the casters and stuff like that. And Necrotic Aura, I tend to take it for more damage, but if you feel like you're dying too much or just miss some survivability from casters, you can always take Spell Ward and for more spell survivability, let's say. But it can be also counted for DKs, you know, Retri Paladins and stuff like that. We are the weakest basically against physical damage, you know, those Hunters, Warriors. Yeah, the Aegis has a lot of chaos damage, which can be negated by our shields, paladins as well. So this is like still doable, but yeah, the worst thing is actually the physical damage, because we have nothing against it except for like Icebound Fortitude and our Death Strike healing. So it can sometimes get terrible, especially if if a hunter gets out of stealth and bursts you down and you have basically nothing to do to react. And because before you grip them, you can have like 1/4 of your HP already gone. So yeah, I use those. I sometimes tend to basically change this one for Death Chill as well. Death Chill basically freezes roots enemies for 4 seconds when we first cast Remorseless Winter, or when we cast 2 Chains of Vices, but usually we have enough mobility thanks to our Death's Echo, so I just want to have more utility thanks to the Dead of Winter. Okay, so with rotation, usually, I just jump in, Chains of Ice somebody, or Remorseless Winter, and start pumping some Obliterates and Frost Strike. I usually don't want to, Rhyme procs. Okay, I don't have runes, so Obliterate, crit 42k, very nice. Frost Strike, crit 21k, so nice damage. Another Obliterate crit, Rhyme proc, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Rhyme proc, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Rhyme, Frost Strike. And usually when I have those stacks already, so Icy Talent, Attack Speed and Unleashed Frenzy, then I pop my Abomination's Limb and Pillar of Frost, then Howling Blast, Obliterate, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Howling Blast, Obliterate, Rhyme, Obliterate, Howling Blast, quickly Obliterate, yeah, Howling Blast, and now just Frost Strike, Obliterate, Frost Strike, because I don't have runes, Obliterate, Rhyme proc, Frost Strike, Obliterate. Thanks to this, you're gonna keep all the buffs from the runic power usage, and also when I have Rhyme proc, I use Obliterate, Rhyme proc, then Frost Strike, and then I go back to Obliterates. This way I always have some runes available just in case I get that proc and I can crit. I usually use Empowering Weapon separately as a cooldown, because it also gives us a lot of attack speed and regenerates some rune, unless I'm going out of runes during Pillar of Frost, but usually that's not the case, because Obliterates have some chance to recover some runes, Crit Chance have some chance to recover some runes. Runic Power is also always available during the burst phase, so that's not the case. And if you check this, I'm going to use it right now. Our attack speed goes up quite significantly, so we're going to have even more crits thanks to that. Oh my god, nothing want to proc. But yeah, the attack speed and usage actually, oh my god, 15 seconds and I didn't get any. Okay, Obliterate, finally. Yeah, but also if I want to use my Pillar of Frost, I usually wait for some nice proc, but if I don't have, I just go in, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Howling Blast, Obliterate, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Howling Blast, Obliterate, and one more Frost Strike, Obliterate. 65k, nice. Yeah, so the burst phase is pretty easy. You just want to use Pillar of Frost, Frost Strike or Howling Blast before the very second you use Pillar of Frost, just to start proccing those Obliterates, and then just mix those to get those nice Killing Machine procs. Other than that, like I said, Killing Machine proc is the most important. Rhyme proc is the second one, and if you have nothing, just want to Frost Strike and Obliterate, rotate them one by one, and you can deal some very nice damage as well. Like I said, the Death Pact I usually use it as a last resort, like I said, because it's gonna absorb the next healing for 15 seconds, so we can heal anything with that. Death Strike is nothing amazing, but it's pretty okay. As you can see, we have almost 4,000 100,000 damage HP, so when we hit it, we're gonna heal for 35,000, which is pretty okay. You know, all the healing from the other classes is not really that bigger, so you can get to like 100. You know, we hit for like 80k every global cooldown almost. 80-60k, so if we heal for even half of that, it's pretty okay. It goes up when we receive those big chunks of damage in our face, but usually, you know, it's just those 10% of the maximum health. With buffs, it goes up to like 45k, so with HP buffs, of course. So it's good to have that the highest HP pool as possible. Other than that, like I said, Pillar of Frost plus Abomination Limb are pretty okay. Empowering Weapon, I try to use it separately. Icebound Fortitude, usually use it when it's stunned, but sometimes you have to use it beforehand just to reduce that incoming damage as well. Lichborn, I tend to use it firstly unless I fight somebody like Shadow Priest or Warlock, because I only know I just want to prevent those fears as well. Those fears. Anti-magic shell, you can jump on the caster, and then you have two choices. You can either keep it for incoming damage, but usually I tend to use anti-magic shell just to prevent CC or anything like rooting or anything like that. And then when the big damage is coming my way, I just drop anti-magic zone and pull them in to the zone just to reduce the damage taken. That's what I do, at least. Then we have, of course, a range Strangulate, range Asphyxiate, we have Blinding Sleet, so very nice CC. Unholy have also the Ghoul Stun, but yeah, this is something we have to pass by. We can have the Freeze from this talent, like I said, but I just like to have more Ice Cap and Enduring Strength, because we do have a lot of passive killing machine generation thanks to the crits, so it does add up in the long run. Other than that, we cannot do that much against physical damage. Like I said, we have nothing, only the Icebound Fortitude and Lichborn. That's basically what we have. We just when changing with the warriors, we want to have that Lichborn on just to reduce some damage and also give some leech when we basically deal a lot of damage from our cooldowns, and also that leech is going to increase the chances of leaving. Usually when I'm not bursting down, I tend to use Death Strike instead of Frost Strike, unless I'm very safe. If I'm over half of my HP, I usually use Frost Strike. When I'm going down, then I just change it and Death Strike every second, and then I focus on Obliterate, then Death Strike, Obliterate, Death Strike, Obliterate. I got Rhyme Proc, I use it, then I got the Death Strike, Obliterate, or Rhyme Proc. So I just focus on damage from Rhyme Procs and Obliterates, and just healing from Death Strike, because Death Strike is not dealing almost any damage, so to be of any significance. But this is basically our ways of surviving, and also focus on Chains of Ice. When fighting warriors, when you see their defensive cooldowns or offensive cooldowns, you can use your Blinding Sleet and not DPS straight away, just to have that more time until those cooldowns wear off. So but yeah, usually the Frost Death Knight is not in a very great spot at the moment, but it's very fun to play, especially when you like to see those big hits, big crits all the time during bursting phase. So that's what I love. That's why I enjoy the Frost Death Strike, Frost Death Knight. I hope you enjoyed this video and that this guide helped you out. If you want to see the recent montage of the Frost Death Knight, check the video that is on the screen at the moment. So thank you for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.